Helicopters. I mean, just look at them. They are these incredible machines that seem to just defy gravity, right? They hover, they dance in the sky, but how do they actually do it? And, what happens if something goes wrong? Okay, let's dive into this and really separate the facts from the fiction of helicopter flight.
I'm sure you've heard this one before. Maybe you've even thought it yourself. It's such a dramatic image, isn't it? A helicopter suddenly losing all power and just dropping out of the sky. This is probably one of the most persistent myths out there. And today, we're going to find out if there's any truth to it.
So, does a helicopter really just fall like a brick? Well, the answer is a big, resounding no. This is probably the single biggest myth in all of aviation, and we're about to bust it wide open with some seriously cool aerodynamics.
And thank goodness, right? It's a huge relief to know that pilots aren't just one little engine hiccup away from a total catastrophe. Helicopters have this absolutely ingenious built-in safety feature that keeps them from just plummeting to the ground.
So, what is this magic trick? Well, it's a maneuver called auto-rotation. The easiest way to think about it is like this. It's the helicopter's version of gliding. Yeah, gliding. As the helicopter descends, the air rushing up through the rotors keeps the blades spinning, which creates just enough lift for a pilot to steer to a safe landing spot. It's an incredible piece of engineering.
Okay, but to really get how a helicopter can safely glide to the ground without an engine, we have to back up a step. We first need to understand the absolute fundamental force that gets it off the ground in the first place. And that, of course, is lift.
It's pretty amazing when you think about it. A helicopter's rotor blade, it's really just a wing. That's it, an airfoil, as the engineers call it. But instead of being stuck to the side of a plane, it rotates. This super simple but totally brilliant idea is the key to everything.
So how does this spinning wing actually create lift? It all comes down to a physics principle you probably learned back in school, Bernoulli's principle. It might sound simple, but this rule is powerful enough to lift tons and tons of metal straight up into the air.
So, take a look at the shape of this airfoil. See how the top is curved? That curve forces the air to travel a longer way to get to the back. And that means it has to move faster than the air taking the shortcut under the flat bottom.
And here's where Bernoulli comes in. That faster-moving air on top creates a pocket of low pressure. Meanwhile, the slower air underneath has higher pressure. And what does high pressure do? It pushes. It literally pushes the blade up into that low-pressure zone. You multiply that little push across those huge rotating blades, and bam, you've got lift.
Of course, it's not just about the shape of the blade. Pilots are constantly juggling a few key factors to control lift. Like changing the angle of attack, that's just the angle the blades slice through the air, can seriously ramp up or kill the lift. Even the weather plays a huge part. A helicopter has to work way harder to fly on a hot, sticky day than on a cold, crisp one, just because the air is less dense. Crazy, right?
Okay, so we've got lift. The helicopter is airborne. Awesome. But this actually creates a brand new problem, a really, really dizzying one.
I mean, think about it. You've got these massive blades spinning like crazy in one direction, so what's to stop the rest of the helicopter from just spinning like a top in the other direction?
Yep, this is where another famous name from physics class shows up, Sir Isaac Newton. It's his third law: for every action there's an equal and opposite reaction. And that twisting force, that's called torque.
So as the engine cranks the main rotor around, that's the action. It creates an equal and opposite reaction that tries to spin the helicopter's body the other way. And without something to fight that force, a pilot would just be along for a very wild, very uncontrollable ride.
And the solution is so simple and elegant, you see it on almost every helicopter. That little propeller on the tail. It's not just for decoration. The tail rotor creates a really precise amount of thrust, sideways, pushing against that torque and keeping the whole machine stable and pointed in the right direction. It's also how the pilot steers when they're hovering. Super clever.
So how does a pilot actually fly this thing? Well, they have two main controls. First, there's the collective. Think of it like a lever. You pull up on it, and it changes the angle of all the rotor blades at the same time. More angle means more lift, and up you go. Push it down, less lift, and down you come. Pretty straightforward. But the cyclic, the stick, that's where the real magic is. It actually changes the angle of each blade individually as it spins around. This tilts the whole spinning disc of the rotors, and that's what lets the helicopter zip forward, backward, or side to side with that insane agility we see.
So you've got all this mind-bending physics, all this incredible engineering, but in the end, it all comes down to the person sitting in the cockpit. So how hard is it really to manage all of that at once?
And this brings us to another one of those common ideas you hear.
People look at the pilot working the controls and they think, wow, that has to be impossible. Helicopters are just too hard to fly.
But let's put that into perspective for a second. Think about learning to drive a car. Flying a helicopter? It needs good coordination, so does driving a car. It takes time and a lot of practice. Same with a car. It takes real hard work and determination. You see where I'm going with this? Learning to hover perfectly is a challenge, for sure, but it's like learning any other complex new skill.
So here's the bottom line. Is piloting a helicopter a complex skill? Absolutely. But is it something that can be mastered? 100%. It's not some impossible superhuman thing at all.
So there you have it. From the amazing physics of a spinning wing to that super important tail rotor, we've seen exactly why helicopters don't just fall out of the sky. It's this beautiful, breathtaking dance between engineering and human skill. And it really makes you wonder, right? With a foundation this brilliant, what's next? What new heights is vertical flight going to reach?